Alright guys, welcome to episode 3 of Mineral Coaches. This time we are working with Palace, a 4.4k flex support. And something we noticed during the session, or rather something that I identified, was that Palace had a very bad habit in his gameplay that kind of snowballed in a bunch of errors in other areas that would seem unrelated at first glance, but in reality aren't. So that's something that we're really going to be covering extensively here, how one bad habit can just kind of snowball into a bunch of different things. So yeah, it's a bit of a unique take, but I hope you guys enjoy it. Alrighty, we're live with episode 3 of Mineral Coaches. Today I have Palace with me, a 4.4k support. How are you doing, Palace?
I'm doing completely fine. Thank you
Okay.
for coaching.
No problem, no problem. Actually, let me just pull up my notes. But
Okay.
let's begin.
Only way they won is God of course. I think we just play goats here now, like Ryan's and
And
goats.
I also touched on a couple of goats things because there are some things where I think there's one player on your team who kind of micromanages everyone,
I mean, if you really want
and
to,
usually
no, I don't.
he has the right idea.
I was gonna say.
But I'll also try and explain to you why that is the right idea, so you also
I don't think
kind of understand why it is, and then you can maybe make those calls in game as well. So that you don't you never want to rely on just one player kind of carrying the load.
Okay.
Let's see.
Are playing goats arenas. Go high ground, baby, go high
Yeah,
ground,
so
go high ground,
here
zero.
he calls for you guys to go high ground.
Mhm.
And you're like everyone, and yeah, like this is a standard hold in goats meta, just because controlling this high ground, you can cut off. You have the high ground advantage, so you can always drop on the enemies, whether they path that way, whether they path this way, you can always cut them off, and it's very difficult for them to take this corner. Like at the beginning of goats meta, everyone just kind of fought for that corner, but it still allows the attackers, if we see if you can move forward, it still allows the attackers to kind of take the corner as a team, and it keeps the backline safe. And then eventually it becomes a fight for the next corner, that one. But by holding the high ground here, you have the drop advantage, and that's why taking this point is just so difficult because of this, how oppressive this high ground is in the goats meta.
Keep bubbles for near drop. Okay, no, push them.
And you see, like, you guys aren't really ready to drop on them.
Main.
Like, you guys should already be here, speed boosted, and the Zen should already be dead.
Okay.
You guys kind of do a better job of that throughout the rest of the map, but yeah, it's just important to understand this concept when you can abuse high ground. But you guys do kill them and you clean them up. So something with your Harmony Orb placement, it's not bad. Like, there's only a couple of situations where I think you kind of miss. Wait, I was. There's only a couple of times where you miss your Harmony Orb, but I think just in general, obviously priority is the Reinhardt. If someone else is at critical health and your Reinhardt isn't taking damage, then obviously feel free to move it on that target, as long as that target might die, right? So if it's a brig that's overextended that they are focusing, that's a good time to move it to a brig.
Okay.
So in a situation like this, your Reinhardt is still tanking damage, right?
Yes.
So it's not like there's a distance between him and the enemy team where he's not going to take any damage. And you choose to move it to Lucio, who is he was at critical health, but he's out of the fight. He's completely safe in this situation, right? And he even heal boosted. So instead of placing the Harmony Orb on him, you can just keep it on Reinhardt because your Reinhardt is still taking damage, and it's super important to not move it unless absolutely necessary.
Okay.
Now it doesn't really matter because you guys are 2 players up, but there will be situations and like as we get along in this VOD where it does matter and it does make a difference.
And when they rotate, like when they are here, we already need to
Okay.
their face. Okay, Reinhardt, like Phoenix, like while they rotate, you need to drop down in their face. Like
yeah. So one of your teammates is just explaining what you guys should do, and he's correct.
Keep projective for Ryan. Oh, do we drop? Wait, we can still follow Ryan when they push. Go, go, go! No, you charge.
You see, like, you guys interrupt, and your Reinhardt is just swinging on 6 people. We don't see the ult charges, but I can guarantee you that your Ryan is getting like 40% more ult charge on these initial trades.
Okay.
I don't have power.
Good Discord on Ryan. You see, you guys get your shatter much earlier, and you just clean it up. So like, there's nothing special about that fight. Now, something you have to think about. So there's two things. One, when you have the trance in Ghosts meta, be careful about right-clicking. There's really no need to right-click too much before the fight when your enemies are retaking and you have map control, because that just gives an extra chance for enemy Zarya to get charged back up, if that makes sense. And in the Goats meta, you have very little pick potential. Throughout these two WODs, you're right-clicking so much, but you're almost never getting picks because it is hard. Like, the only target you can realistically get a pick on before the fight starts is a Zen.
We bubble our Ryan if we don't instantly kill
So that's number one. You don't want to charge up the Zarya here. Number two is you never want to put yourself in positions where the fight starts and you don't have a full ammo. So you should always try to reload right before the fight starts.
Okay.
Because if you end up in a situation where they come out through here and you have maybe, like, if this is your ammo, then you're going to have to reload like a second into the fight, right?
Yes.
And if you reload a second into the fight, that means that's a second window where, one, you can't Discord, you can't change orb, and you can't, like, or like, just like the overall damage you can output is gone for 1 second. And in Goats, like, every little thing matters, you know, like you shooting a bubble to break it faster than they break yours matters, because their Zen is always gonna come in with full ammo, right? And there's and like this damage that you do, it's not really that relevant. So now immediately, like, you see now that everyone's crossed, within like 1 or 2 seconds they're gonna come out here. So this is the perfect time to reload so that you have a full clip to start the fight. And you could potentially start loading a right click for when they come out here, but you need to have enough ammo for the fight.
Okay.
Now they can go right side, but it's okay.
Because now go for a right click. Now you're reloading, you know. And he got bashed. If you hit one shot, that's on a Discorded Rhino, one headshot, that's 120 damage, right?
Yeah.
In a Goats meta, that potentially could force a support ult early, which means you guys can use a support ult later, right? Like, just through that, you can get such a huge advantage. This is why, like, all these little things matter. But now you have a perfect opening to follow up with damage, but, you know, because you're reloading, you can't do it.
Yes.
And now the opening is gone, and he gets away pretty scot-free. Something you can also consider is when you have high ground advantage and your enemies are retaking, and they have to path like this, you know, or in the other situation where they have to path the other way. Something you can look for a lot is Discords on a Zen, and then try to minigame with your diva. So before the fight, you can say, I'm going to try and get the Discord on a Zen, and I'm going to call it and be ready. That's what you communicate to your diva. And then you'd be like, Discord and Zen, and then he's going to be ready to immediately either get a free kill or force out a trance. So when you have high ground advantage, that's when you kind of have a choice of who to Discord. Like, if you're playing on the ground and they're playing on the ground, you can only really Discord what's in front of you. But when you have the high ground, before you drop, you have a higher, like, you have more of a choice of who to Discord. So it's something you and your you know, like, here, you could have easily Discorded him. Your Zarya, I mean, your diva flies at him. You guys stun him, and if he doesn't have chance, he dies. If he does have chance, he has to use it, and then you guys kite, and then you guys use your ults more efficiently. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
It
So
does.
so anytime you have high ground, try and see if you can find plays like that too. You know, like, even your Lucio could be riding here and booping the Zen away. So when you have an oppressive high ground, that's something you can abuse.
Okay.
Something you obviously have to watch out for is, even when it's not specifically tracked before the fight, make sure that you're very, very careful with shatters and you're playing very close to corners. And you're also reading the movement of the Ryan, so you can kind of read when he's going to go into the animation. If go into this fight, if that's something you pay attention to, like, oh, I need to watch out for the shatter, you will position yourself better, and you will also you'll also be able to be like more attentive of what he's doing, and then you'll be able to react to the shatters much earlier. Because in this meta, like with the amount of displacement that there is, you can never rely on your Reinhardt shield to block the shatter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
So
And of course, if you have any questions, just ask during the review.
sure.
Helm mix.
I'm chilled, I'm close to B.
242. We need to push your right Zarya. They're pushing right side.
Something is also like, if you look to explain the concept a little more, if you look at the damage stats for all Zenyatas from like players who played season 1 and season 2, everyone's increased their average damage per 10 by like 2,000, and that's because of the meta that we have, which means you have to churn out as much DPS as possible, because you need that shield pressure. And I forgot the numbers, but you know that there's like a massive difference in DPS between your right click and your left click, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So anytime you're in a shield war and their Zen is just left clicking your shield and you're right clicking, you are automatically, if everyone else is shooting the shield and this is the trade-off between the Zens, then you will always be losing the shield war. So
Okay.
something like, as a rule of thumb, try and look for right clicks when you have to, like, say you have to go around the corner and reload, and maybe you're low HP and you want to repeak. That's where you can charge the right click. You shoot one right click, and then after that it's just left clicks, because if you look at your play, you're just right clicking so much, and there's really it's very little upside. Like, now you're not discording Ryan. The discord comes on Ryan way too late. And maybe if you discord him and shoot him once, maybe they can't take this space as aggressively. Maybe they can't bully your Ryan as much. But you're looking for these right clicks way too much.
Okay.
They're pushing right side.
And
Okay.
because of that, like, you're late to orb your Reinhardt as well, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, like, now you don't have a discord. You don't have. You should never charge this, shoot it immediately, put your orbs out, because you never want to be in situations where you have neither the harmony nor the discord orb out.
We need to push your right
That's
Zarya.
priority number 1.
They're pushing right side. I'm pinning.
It's not your trance.
Left side of the ground.
Okay, so blocking the pin
Yeah.
is very good when you have a little more time on your trance.
Trance.
Yeah, and what it is when you're trying to block it to actually stop a pin from another target. So if their Reinhardt is here, then this play going in for the block is 100% right. But you zooming out here, like, it's really not needed, because your diva is still healthy, and if your Reinhardt falls, the fight is over. So your priority is to keep the Ryan alive. So your diva can always fly out and fly towards your trance. You don't. It shouldn't be your job to go and heal him up, even if he's low. Like, in this situation, he's not even low, so I don't think there's any reason to go there. But even if he was low, it's his job to come to your trance, because you have to protect this guy. If the Reinhardt is it, you have to protect him from the pin. So he needs to
Okay.
be he instead of you like ping ponging like this, he needs to come with you, and he has the mobility to do so as well. So no need for you to leave your Reinhardt here, because
Alright.
there's no pin you can drop, and the diva is healthy. If you don't do that, then maybe you guys could clutch the fight out. Like, you guys could be falling backwards. At least you would survive a little longer. Maybe your reinforcements come up top, and you guys can sandwich them. There's at least a way you guys can win. But when you make that play, then it's kind of over. Something you can do as well, like in these situations when you are dead and you are coming back, and it's sort of a winnable fight, try and feed relevant information. So, like, there's nothing that you have to keep your
My bad, bad call.
My
So-
mouth short for?
Hmm?
Like, I can give useful information,
Mhm.
as in example.
call the numbers. You're 4 versus 3. You're 5
Okay.
versus 3. Like, you're just counting down, because when they're in this scrappy fight, like, this fight has been going on for what, 2 minutes? So players who have been in that fight for those 2 minutes, they're not gonna think about, you know, what are the numbers, who's coming back, do we have the advantage? So what you can do is like at least feed numbers, like make a count. Okay, I just died. I see that our Lucio is coming back. You guys are 4 versus 3, 4 versus 4. You know, if it's like 4 versus 6, then maybe a player will make a better decision. Like maybe Rosario thinks, oh, it's winnable, but then he hears, oh, it's 3 versus 6. Well, maybe I'm not gonna grab if that's the case, right? So you can help your teammates avoid mistakes by just feeding information, and there's nothing for you to think about when you're coming back like this anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you call for floats here.
Yes.
What is the thought process?
Yes, yes. Rangots into rangots, easy.
We go close, we are 6.
I called floats because I thought we could take advantage of the high grounds and put the damage out onto them with the cleave monkey.
So in general, so what are the trade-offs? Like when you have Winston instead of Reinhardt, like what do you lose when you don't have the Reinhardt?
A constant shield. Well, 2000 HP shield.
What else?
A real, I would say, since it's goats versus goats, we lose the mirror fights. They have, for example, ults that can stun people, and we only have a 600 HP shield that can break very fast. And the frontline fights will be a bit harder for the team.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really control space and play corners. Yeah. You can't really play corners and avoid free push because you just have you're basically your goal is to ping pong up and down. So what are the advantages of Winston 3-3?
We can stay out of range for them to put damage onto us. We can have our tanks, D.Va and Winston, basically jump into them, and all we would have to use is like a bubble on the Winston. He can put out damage, and we would, I would say, farm Primal Rage pretty fast, which is, I would say, good. I'm not too sure though.
Is there anything else that Winston brings that Reinhardt doesn't?
The only big difference I could think of right now is the mobility.
Something he also brings is the potential for environmental kills that Reinhardt doesn't have.
Yeah.
But
true.
Hollywood is not a map where you can get environmental kills, right?
Yeah.
So a big part of Winston's upside is lost on this map. Now, like you say, there are a lot of good high grounds that are, if the payload is rolling in, you can zap people without like the brig being able to stun you. So that's obviously, this type of map architecture does favor the Winston a lot, but you also have to consider that, and that's why Winston Goats has seen a lot of success or has been used a lot on maps like Volskaya defense, right? Like even against Ryan Goats, there's a bunch of high grounds like this where you can farm, and there's a bunch of checkpoints where you can farm and get your primal, and then when you get your primal, you engage and you can potentially snowball. The thing is, on Volskaya, you can afford it. It takes a while for them to path to the point. The issue here is if you play that game, there are times when they're going to push your Winston. You're going to have to jump out, and while you're jumped out, they're pushing for free, right? So the snowball potential on payload maps is far greater than on a map like Volskaya, right? So because you're giving up objective time while you're farming your Winston ult, and you don't want to give up objective time. And on Volskaya, you don't have to give up objective time. So that's very important to remember, and like to conceptualize why Winston Goats might be a little iffy here. Add to that, there's no environmental kill potential. That makes Winston kind of bad as a defending comp here, and that's why most teams just play the Ryan into the Ryan. And obviously your teammate
okay, can we hold close?
tells you to stay.
I think they're B. I don't remember.
Okay, I will have bomb next fight. I'm gonna bomb behind him and use bubbles.
So again, you fire a right click and you immediately load a new right click. So let's take a look at what could potentially happen if you don't right click.
I think they're bait. I think they're bait. I don't remember.
Okay,
what team
So you damage the Zarya a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
I will have bomb next fight. I'm gonna,
you discord her, and now you immediately start charging a new right click.
gonna
So
bomb behind
if
the
you
fence.
weren't right clicking here,
Yes.
you would have the potential to hit a shot on the Zarya. Say you hit a headshot on the Zarya, and she
Mhm.
panics and self bubbles. Like that is a gigantic advantage for you guys, right? Then
Yes.
she can't play as aggressively. A fully charged Zarya who can't play as aggressively, that's a huge advantage. And that's something that's a scenario you could potentially create on your own if you just don't charge the right click and try to shoot her. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because now she hides, she tries to wait out the discord, she still hasn't used the bubble. You put a right click into the shield, and now they're able to
Phoenix up,
take
Phoenix.
space. And now you're charging a new right click, so you can't even change the discord,
Yeah.
right? So now there's absolutely zero value in having the discord on the Zarya. Meanwhile, the rest of their team is pressuring your Reinhardt, including the Reinhardt. Like their Reinhardt is stepping forward and taking space. And while your Reinhardt has to worry about the discord, their Reinhardt doesn't.
I'm gonna use bubbles.
So you're slow to swap discords, and you're also not like just by right clicking, you're just putting your team in a worse situation as well. If that makes sense.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes, it
Phoenix
does.
up, Phoenix.
Side Jimmy.
You know, like he could be discorded, and then he maybe takes 200 damage. You force out some other cooldowns, and then maybe she comes out, and then you discord her. You know, like there's just you know so much you can gain by not
I'm gonna
left
bomb
clicking.
two. Wait, when they push.
Even now, you know, like she's being super aggressive, and if you're not charging a right click here, all it takes is one orb to the head, and she immediately has to self bubble because of how close everyone is. She has to self bubble because she's in kill range.
Okay.
And if she does that, if she self bubbles here, you guys can easily rush her down. So let's see how this plays out.
I'm bombing. I'm bombing.
You know, she gets to go all the way here without taking any damage at all, and she's still discorded. You know, so it's something you could keep calling it. Like she's Zarya's still discord.
Bob
Zarya
Phoenix.
from left side.
Brick is one.
Pushing Zarya left side.
Now everyone sees like, well, she's super out of position. Let's push her now. But just
Okay.
but because you didn't shoot her and you didn't call the discord, she didn't have to bubble, which means now as you guys are pushing him or pushing the Zarya, now he still has the bubble to potentially survive and kite out and like pull everyone out of position.
Brick is one on payload.
And now you're like, well, what do I do? Like now I bring nothing to the fight. Like I can't discord anyone because the rest of my team is chasing, which is like good chase. Like you could potentially kill that Zarya, but you know because she still has the bubble, she can survive.
So right on payload, right? The payload head.
So you guys miss a lot of kill potential, and now you're like spreading all over the place.
Payload.
I can shot.
Brick one. Brick one. Brick one. Brick one.
I can bomb one.
Pushing left side. Zarya. Zarya main. Zarya main.
I booked her.
Run,
Run.
Zarya left
No,
side.
Zaya first. Use no shield. Nice. Chest is on.
Then. Okay. Nice one.
Run. Phoenix.
Yeah.
Taking
Diva,
another.
I think Diva saw you. I think, but we can bubble him. It's okay. Use personal. Wait, they use personal. Can you push it?
Ryan's going inside.
Ren is main.
Ryan's inside.
Ren is main.
You see, like now they're pretty close, and you could be putting out a lot more DPS on the shields. But this is the third right click that you charge.
Yeah. I charge a lot of right
Yeah,
clicks.
and there's no pick like that you can, unless the brig is stupid and puts down her
Yeah.
shield. There's no pick that you can get here.
No, he's main.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're charging a fourth right click. So now the fight is about to start, and now you're gonna get again in a situation where you're gonna be reloading 1 second into the fight, and they're
Yeah.
gonna be pressuring your Ryan a lot more than you will be pressuring theirs. And also another thing that sort of subconsciously happens when you right click is you're looking for these angles to like get it around a corner so you have pick potential, right? Like that's what you do as a Zen.
Yeah.
Right? So subconsciously, you're more focused now on trying to find an angle for your volley rather than like paying attention to the Reinhardt, paying attention to his movement. Like, does he have shatter? You know, how do I dodge it? How do I measure distance? And that's something you could be focusing while you're just AFK shooting his shield. Right?
Yeah.
It's so much easier to think about your positioning when you're not charging volleys.
Okay.
Wait for grab. Wait for.
And now you could potentially have been ready to just step in and trances and save the fight,
Yeah.
but you're a little bit late
No more ult.
because you were focused and then you start literally and you're like, oh shit. But even if like that shatter doesn't hit, you know, like they're pressing your shield more. That's the same concept as we discussed before.
Down. Line down.
7 points. We have grab him for next fight. No, they use rally.
Okay, scroll through the next fight.
We use the combo first. Device on top.
Can we use rally first actually? And
Yeah.
see what they do.
Go close to Ryan. Go close
Zarya
to
inside, Zarya inside.
Help us.
So again, like you're looking for these, especially, and it's again even more important when you are retaking map control, because then your enemies usually are gonna have energy advantage, right, on their Zarya, which means they automatically have an advantage in shield pressure. So if they have advantage in shield pressure and you're just volleying everywhere around the map, then like you're just gonna get demolished in the shield war, and your Reiner is just gonna get
Zarya inside.
wrecked. You know,
Okay.
like you're looking for these. Like it's just, you know, there's no need. Like you can position yourself here and then put damage into the shield, and you would potentially have an angle on these, like to discord the Zarya, to discord the Diva, or whoever might play above you. But now, like in this angle, you don't see anything because you stepped in and looked for a volley. You can't really discord anyone. You can't discord anyone above you. You can't discord anyone in front of you, and you don't really have an angle to shoot anyone.
Zarya behind, Zarya behind, Zarya behind.
You know, like there's still no discord in this fight. And then also,
Yep.
remember, same thing as we talked with the Lucio. So with the Lucio thing, it was a little different. But here, you switch the orb to your Diva, who is still like almost full HP, and it really isn't in that much of a risk. Like obviously, you guys called that Zarya is above, but she's outside range. She's good. Like your Zarya is fine. I mean, your Diva is fine. But your Reinhardt is under a lot of pressure. He's discorded. He's dealing with an energy disadvantage. He's dealing with a Zenyatta who is shooting him. So he needs the protection. He needs the resources. Like
Okay.
if he takes too much damage, that's his fault. But you should never take it away from him, especially in scenarios like this. Again, like if he falls back and he's here and their Reinhardt is here and your Diva is at half HP, completely fine to switch to the Discord. But have to remember in these sort of default fights that it's very important that Reinhardt gets the resources.
No, here.
I don't know where
Let's
Zarya.
just stop left.
And again, immediately charging a right click. So you still don't have a Discord. Like we're 10 seconds into the fight, there's still no Discord.
Oh, no, that's one shot.
Yes, and there's nothing you really accomplish with the volleys.
No.
You know, maybe you could have killed. You know, if you're not charging the right click, maybe you get the Discord. You switch the Discord from Zarya to him a little faster, and then he dies to your Brig, and then maybe you still have a chance this fight. Or probably not, but you can at least get a kill and get an easier retake.
Okay.
If you don't die early, we can.
Like, can you say exactly where they are? Like, I wasn't sure where Zarya was.
Maybe we can contest again.
Yeah, we
I don't think we can recontest.
no,
we can
no,
just hold close.
I didn't
We
get
can play close, huh?
Wait,
Can we put
guys,
fast
come here. Come outplay left side and Zen play right side. Come outplay left side. We're
Start
pushing,
pushing
we're pushing.
already.
Nice, next use.
Bubbling.
Oh, help me.
He's left kicking. Go for him. Go for him.
Let's see. Let's see this a little bit. Okay, so yeah, you step left here because I think your Diva says come hold left.
Mhm.
Right side. Come outplay left.
Held close left,
Mhm.
but they were coming from the right.
Yeah, but in general, like I don't think your position changes too much. Like your Reinhardt is either gonna hold here or here. Like most likely, if you want to hold off angles, like your Diva holds one side and your Reinhardt holds the other. But you don't have to go this way because you want to position yourself in a way where Brig doesn't have to protect you. You still have a good angle on the fight, and if your Reinhardt loses a shield trade, he can kite to the next corner. There's no real corner. Like if you're gonna kite, if you lose a shield trade or a bubble trade, you will never kite that way, right? Because it's just too hard to recontest payload, and there's no real good corners. You have a corner here, you have a corner here, so most likely your Reinhardt, if he ever loses a trade, is kiting back this way. So usually, like your positioning is just fine around here, like going back and forth here, and then you're playing behind. That's where you can take cover. You can easily follow your team because
Mhm.
now
And,
you overstep. Sorry.
And there's also the half pack for
Yeah,
backup.
exactly. You know, so
Wait, guys, come here. Come outplay left side.
so there's no need for you. Like even when he calls guys come left side, there's no need for you to reposition
Zen play right side. Come outplay left side.
Okay.
because you get a little exposed. Like he was going for a shatter here, right? I think the shatter got cancelled.
Yep.
If the shatter does get cancelled, you get shattered. And
Yeah.
whose fault is it if you get shattered?
It's mine.
Exactly. It's always like everyone has to know how to protect themselves against shatter. And you weren't like because you were rotating to the left side, you were just completely oblivious to the fact that he's even there or that he's
Yeah.
he might shatter. It's not even in in your LOS. And still like you're a little bit in front of your team. And if this was your starting position, you would have been able to switch the Harmony to your Brig much earlier, right?
Mhm.
Because now, like again, as you're kiting back, they're not in your LOS. You're actually in front of the team. Whereas, like, if your Reinhardt is here, you should already be like further back, right?
Yes.
Because now, if their diva was here, like she could potentially just rush and kill you as well. So
Kicking. Go for it. Go for it. I can shatter that.
I have bubble.
Okay. Lucio.
Sorry.
mostly your positioning has been okay, especially in Lijiang. But then again, like Lijiang is controlled, so it's much easier
Okay, guys,
overall
you
to
know what?
position yourself on
Here and then hold there on Mega.
control
Mhm.
maps because it's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
But on payloads, it,
Then
like
go right side.
when
No, you go right side.
maps where there's like
You stay away from
tricky
the-
architecture in the way,
Guys, man.
it's
We can set up the book.
yeah, like now you have a good position, like now you guys have pretty much the setup that I talked about.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking.
And
for
again,
it.
no need to charge this right click. You should be discording the Ryan and putting
Mine's done.
damage into the shield.
I look for shatter. I'm looking for shatter.
Right.
Mine's done.
Again, you switch the Discord. I mean the Harmony on your Brig, and yeah, like she is a little bit low, but I think she would still be fine. I mean, yeah, I guess it's kind of tricky because your Brig did get caught out of position a lot as well, so it's not too bad. But yeah, the biggest thing is like their shield is almost breaking. Imagine if you were shooting the shield instead of loading 3 right clicks in a row, then their shield would be broken, and you guys would probably be winning this fight because of your Zarya's energy advantage. But instead, like you end up behind in the trade, and your Ryan just blows up. And you're positioned in a way where you're too far to even save him with the trance. So
Okay.
One discarded.
something you can read into as well. If you see that, oh well, our Ryan is really losing the shield war. Say they don't have a grab, and you can maybe afford to trance, then you can start advancing your position. But always, obviously, watch for the threats. Do they have the graviton? How do I position myself against that? Do they have the shatter? How do I make sure that I don't get shattered? And I don't put myself in a situation where I see him go into the animation and I have to gamble and press Q anyway because I don't know if my Reinhardt is going to block it or not. So, like, you have to just pay extra attention to the Reinhardt.
Okay.
We need to counter boop their Lucio when he's so aggressive. Like
I can boop him when I boop the Rhine and then drop
You
down.
need to make a countdown. I cannot react instantly to your boob. You need to make a countdown.
Here, always make sure you path together with your Ryan.
Okay.
Because he was in left spawn and you went right side, and now you're
Yeah.
zoned out, now you can't go with them.
You can stay there while you drop. Zarya's high ground. Does she have grab?
Imagine if someone was scouting and they just shift on you and force your transfer free, like
Yeah.
Push Zara. Okay,
Oh no, I got booped.
Oh,
you're fine. I can shatter that. Shatter up.
Oh,
mm,
Oh no, I got booped.
You're fine. Fine.
yeah, not much you can do. Your diva just got blown up and your team got caught in a massive grab. You
Yeah.
guys didn't really space out against the grab. You guys honestly don't even need to pat. Like, realistically, on this 3rd-point defense,
Yeah.
since you can't contest that corner, you will mostly just fight for this corner.
Mhm.
And then they can't really get this grab, right? Like, imagine if let's see, if the thing is when you hold that corner, you can still have someone on the high ground watching that. You can play here, your Lucio can play here, your Zarya can play here. You can spread out so much, and then this type of grab that he just got is impossible, right?
Mhm.
So, and this is like, there's no corner for you guys to play here because the payload is too small in this map. So, probably just need to hold this. And but obviously, if they had just capped second, if the payload, instead of being here, if the payload is here or here, then yeah, you should just go with your Reiner. You guys should try to go top and try and drop and fight for that corner maybe.
You're fine. I can shatter
So
that.
just make sure you guys identify the correct corner and space out properly against the grabs. Don't think there's much else here. So I think you guys clutch it somehow, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys, come there, let me go back.
Doing now?
Oh, oh, never mind. The ride wasn't over.
Like, you don't have Diva with you. They don't have
We
grab
play
though.
this corner, let me go back. We found the shatter. Found the grab.
Wait, do they have shatter? Do they have shatter?
No, no,
I'm
no.
bubbling now.
Nice. You're not right clicking. You're shooting the shield.
Ryan is guarded.
But you right click.
Oh.
But you right clicked twice, so
Boys,
you
that's
don't.
behind, that's behind,
Oh,
that's
what the
behind,
fuck?
Yeah, he was behind.
How did
He-
he get there?
He didn't die in the fight before when we managed to defend it.
Oh,
I only have
what a ninja.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at attack. So you guys went 4 DPS here. I guess there's. I won't really go into the 4 DPS stuff too much because you just essentially play Tracer for 1 round, so we can mostly skip it. Obviously, the risk of running 4 DPS into goats is that like you'll almost always get the first point,
Widow Ash.
especially if they have Zen goats.
It's their touch point, Hammond. Touch point, Hammond.
But
Nice, nice. We have free space. We have
if they buy enough time, they will have ult advantage when you guys swap to goats, which
Yeah.
means automatically taking second point is a lot harder for you guys. And I think you guys did get full held on second, right? Or did you get-
No, no. We actually managed to cap all 3, but we had a hard time on second.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, and that's most of the time how it's gonna play out if you guys play 4 DPS, which is why like almost all AL teams, if it's your first round of attack, would just mirror the Ryan because of the implications down the road, right?
Run TV, run TV.
If you know, because it's gonna be very hard to get a good time bank and snowball the map if you 4 DPS because you're almost always gonna have to swap on second point and then you're swapping into a disadvantage. So the goats team just really only has to get 1 stop and then just roll in ultimates.
Yep. I was trying to get like a stick on the brig and kill
Yeah.
myself with it.
Yeah. And you waste a ton of time. And honestly,
Yeah.
just switch immediately. Like there's no the upside isn't that great.
Okay.
They have a monkey now. They have a
You should just just go goats immediately.
We decided to keep the Sombra because we had EMP.
Yeah, that's fine. Like that's the only way you really win the next fight because if you swap everything, then all of them will be like at around 60% of their ults. You're gonna go for a bubble trade and then they will just destroy you with their ultimates. So staying on the Sombra for 1 push is the only way you win the next fight and get the payload further. Because everyone else is reset, you know, like you have nothing. So yeah. But obviously like overtime pushes, it does make sense to potentially go like if you only have 1 minute and you know they're playing Zen goats, it does make sense usually to go for DPS and try to snowball. And this is probably as far as you're gonna get, or like towards the end of second is probably the furthest you can get the payload with 4 DPS against a good goats team. But if you only have 1 minute, you know, remember we talked about how much how first point defense is so favored towards the defense in goats mirrors because you can just drop on them and you guys won a lot of time. So you don't really want to roll the dice and play the goats mirror because if you lose 1 fight, like it's over and you don't even get a take. But with 4 DPS, at least you can get some cap progress. Maybe you can cap the first point. Maybe you can push the payload a little further. So that's a situation where it is worth probably just objectively taking the risk of playing 4 DPS because you're not swapping everything. Or if the meta was a little different and you could potentially make the 4 DPS work on second point and stay on that, like play the comp the entire way where you don't completely destroy your ult economy, that's where it potentially would be viable as well.
You can punish them. They're playing split. They're playing split. Punish Ryan.
I pressure in. I left kicking.
Yeah. So you see, you put so much pressure on him here, and if you just lets his shield down a bit, see how much damage you did to him. Half his HP is gone, even though he's at a distance. He's from a safe distance from his Rhine. He has to rest his shield because you put in too much damage. He has, and he's taking damage. And while he's resting his shield, you guys can punish other players. So very well played by you here.
Finishing.
Point,
Let
point,
them touch.
point.
Let them touch. We can slow down fight. Wait, Lucy's on point. Lucy's on point.
So you guys caught them. Actually, you guys didn't even need to use the EMP. So that's huge. That still gives you a chance to potentially win this fight.
How's our ultimate?
We can play close if you want, or you'll just EMP shatter, I guess.
Yeah. Do they have support ult?
I'm close to my trance.
Full EMP.
So as soon as you see Ryan here, you should be positioning yourself because depending on where they path, your Reinhardt is always going to meet their Reinhardt, right? So if they go like this, your Reinhardt will meet their Reinhardt. So you need to position yourself in a way where you can hide behind shield further back. And you could potentially get your trance in this fight as well, you know? So you guys EMP, they probably use some ults, and then you get your trance mid-fight, and this is a super winnable fight, right?
Yeah.
They're right side fence.
And as soon as you see which side the Reinhardt is committing to, then you will immediately know which way your Reinhardt will angle the shield, and then you can adjust your positioning accordingly. So immediately
I'm
just
gonna wait for their beat to come out,
rotate that
sorry.
way. But now, like, you isolate yourself.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is very bad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get caught off guard by the brick too.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And if you were just behind your Rein and shooting their Reinhardt, you would have this trance. One, you wouldn't die. Two, you would get your trance maybe 5 seconds earlier.
Bad boys.
We die this.
Mm-hmm.
We lose fast.
So just make sure, like, and again, like before the fight, you were just looking for a lot of right clicks, so you're probably not thinking. So you just need to shift your focus to, how do I position myself? What's my priority? I need to make sure I need to discord the Rhine, and then I can do whatever I want, or like I have more freedom in what I can do. But you need to like get your sort of priority list
Make sure we are close to
straight.
if our range
Positioning first, make sure my orbs are correct, then I can focus on killing stuff.
She's either 80 or she has it.
And now it's going to be rough, because now they've stabilized. Now they have 6 ults, essentially, or 4 ults. I didn't see what they used last fight.
They use Shadow, but they will manage. They use Shadow and Rally, but they will manage to farm Shadow back because of Nano.
Okay. So let's take a look at this trade. Oh,
I think they will farm it. Yeah, they will farm it off Nano.
Over there, and it's the Lucian
Main on card, on card, break top
Okay,
left.
push on Ryan, push on Ryan, push on Ryan, push.
So again, the Reinhardt is taking such an aggressive position that he has no business taking, and he's doing it with his shield down. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means the Discord should immediately be on him.
Card, on card, break
Yeah.
top
Okay,
left.
push it.
Right?
It's
Like,
right on the diva right now.
yeah, and it's a waste of a Discord because no one can shoot her. Whereas if it's on him, then he has to shield a lot earlier, kite back, take potential a lot more damage.
Push on Ryan, push on Ryan, push on Ryan, push on Ryan, push
Break
on
top
Ryan.
But now it goes on him a little bit late. It still goes on him, and he takes so much damage. Like, you can see how much damage he takes, but oh shit, I scrolled it back too much. Wait, let me find the
problem.
situation. Was it this fight?
Yes, it is. We have to skip a
Okay.
bit forward. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Push on Ryan,
is.
push on Ryan, push on Ryan,
Break
push on
top
Ryan.
left, break top.
Anna no nade, Anna no nade. We
Yeah, no bubbles.
See, like, no shield pressure, and like now she steps in front of shield, so this is immediately
Discord
Discord goes on her. She either has to step behind the shield, or she's gonna take so much damage that she has to self bubble. Boom! Again, a huge advantage for you, and
Mm-hmm.
just accomplished by not doing this.
Push, they have no bubbles.
Yeah,
And now you have no Discord for how many seconds? Now it comes on again. Big nade,
Yep.
mid combo.
And here's the fight that he farmed.
New shatter?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys didn't die to the bomb, so you guys should probably expect a new shatter. He either has it or he's like one fire strike away.
They use it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Dude, they farmed it again. They pinned
Okay.
the grab and
Yeah, and I think you guys track it
I'm
here.
gonna go look for a grab. Lucia, left side.
Boom, punishing the Zarya, very very good.
Looking for
But now she doesn't have, she doesn't have a
Personal.
bubble, personal, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, you could potentially force her out of this position on your own. And again, if you're just not going for that second right click, you know, then she bubbled away your Discord. If Discord immediately goes back in her, now she has to drop. There's nothing she can do. But now the break can step forward, block your volley for a little bit, then she can keep that position for a little longer. She should never be able to keep that position for that long.
I'm gonna grab from behind. 3, 2, 1. Go.
We blocked that Shatter.
Yeah,
But they're gonna farm another one here because of Nano again.
Go.
but also your positioning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if your Reinhardt doesn't block it, then you get shattered here again. So again, something you have to pay attention to. You could maybe position yourself more towards here and expect it. Right?
Okay.
So because,
Yeah,
yeah,
I even called it. I should have expected it.
yeah, because if you're here and he's here, the shatter is most likely going in an angle like this, and you can dodge it while also returning fire. So,
Okay.
but it's just something you have to pay attention to, you know. And again, I think the biggest thing is you're going to be able to pay attention and see these things really, really easily as soon as you stop right clicking so much and like looking for angles. How do I get the angle on this Zarya, and how do I kill her? How do I, you know, get this pick here? Because it is really distracting. It shifts sort of your thinking process a bit.
Run the score, run the score.
I'm gonna boop Ryan, I'm gonna boop Ryan.
Boom! Immediately as you hit a shatter, need to switch the Discord on the players on the ground. So immediately, something should be going on these guys, and then you potentially get the kill on the brig.
Mm-hmm.
Size down.
You know, but you
I kept it on the diva. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Sh-
Wait, let me see just quickly.
Run the score, run the score.
I'm gonna boop Ryan, I'm gonna boop Ryan.
Size down.
Brink and Zarya.
Yeah, you weren't right clicking there. You just
I'm bubble.
you just
I'm gonna
didn't
sustain if we don't
pay attention, didn't switch it there fast.
Pressure in.
I'm gonna boop Ryan away.
Go back cross.
Okay, go, go, go. I can trans.
So I like this call. I love when supports kind of call plays around their ults. So you're like you see that they're gonna overextend. You're like, I can trans, which immediately, you know, your team will know that we can potentially bait them in, and then retake with trans when they've overextended. You know, like if you guys kite back a little bit further here, they push up here. You guys maybe get a boop, and then you just rush them over with your trans.
Mm-hmm.
Go for like that.
But now it also comes in a little early. So ideally, as soon as let's see, where does this Nano come out? Nano's out already. So now you're super aggressive here,
Mm-hmm.
while the rest of your team is kiting. So you guys could easily kite this out, wait out the Nano, and then repush. Alternatively, if they overextend with the Nano, then you do the trans play. But now you're kind of I love that you're calling it, that you're calling a play around your ult, but you're forcing it a little bit, if it makes sense, right? Like you're while the rest of your team is falling back, you're moving forward.
I can trans.
Go for like that.
So he gets a new shatter, like you say. He doesn't
Yep.
get this shatter if you guys just kite.
Keep Ryan alive. Dash it.
And now the fight has dragged on for a long enough time with a full charge Zarya. The Zarya also has a grab. So now you've used one of the major, like probably the most important ultimate to counter the Zarya ult. So now you guys just lose the fight. So I love the idea.
I'm a steep.
Just yeah, the execution, not forcing it. Like it's fine to just take turns. You know, like they take their turn, fall back, and then put it out there. We can turn with trans, and then read the situation. When instead of forcing it, let's go with trans. We can turn it with trans. Okay, let's go. And then like everyone's in sync, the positioning is fine, and you know everything is just flows more smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
Nice right side.
Can we push? Can we push? Zaya, fire on.
I'm bubbling.
Zano friendly.
Look for bubble shift again.
I have bubbles.
Watch out for nade.
So now again, you're in a situation where you don't have a Discord for a while.
I'm bubbling.
Zano friendly.
Right? No Discord, right? So if he's just shielding, you can Discord the diva, call that you're
Force it off
Discording,
anger.
yeah, call that you're Discording the diva. Then these guys,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something like it's so important that you call their Discords and you call them diva Discord. Immediately, it's gonna give your diva a lot more confidence in this duel because presumably she can't get discorded from that angle, and your Zarya is gonna be like, well, instead of shooting shield, let me just for 1 second shoot this diva who's gonna drop below half HP in like less than a second. That means she has to drop. That means your diva can step into this position. So you gain positional advantage and you gain a health advantage.
Okay.
And then immediately as she drops, as she's no longer a threat, you look to put it back on either whoever is overextended or the Reinhardt. You know, if she would drop there, then you wouldn't need the Discord on her anymore.
I have bubbles.
Okay.
Because she's already going to be drawing resources. Presumably she's going to get the orb. Maybe she's going to get the armor pack. So then if there's an opening for you guys to pressure the Reinhardt at all, he's going to have fewer resources than your Reinhardt will because you just win the trade through pressuring away the diva. Like the diva's not careful with her HP. And here, like you guys clearly had an opening to punish her.
Bubbles in two.
And now she gets to control that space.
Run shield
Up
low,
there.
run shield low. Big.
And she's not punished at all.
I can grab this.
Steep.
Grabbing.
Big grab.
Okay, I go fight. I'm swinging.
Bubbling.
I'm bombing in a second.
I can boot Ren, I can boot Ren.
Sarah herself.
Did you need this?
I can boot Ren.
I'm not sure. It was overtime. That's why I was like making sure that we win the fight.
Okay.
He has no shield, he has
Yeah.
no shield.
I think you could have potentially held it a little longer, but it's situational. It's situational because your diva also bombed.
Mm-hmm.
Ren, I can boot Ren.
So if
They could.
so,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
true.
So while this is up, they can't pin. So you can
Mhm.
potentially be a little bit more careful. I mean, a little more patient. Same thing if like you guys grab them, you know, like say they grab you and you grab them, you can like hold it maybe for a little longer. But obviously you're usually gonna just trans all the grabs, so it's not that big of a deal.
He has no shield.
But you can just pay attention in case someone else in your team is countering the grab as well.
Break it, we can break inside.
Break on points, break on point, break on point, break on point.
Say your diva calls before that. I'm gonna diva bomb as soon as they grab.
Mhm.
Zion
But
herself.
usually you're gonna have to trans anyway, so.
Lucio on point, contesting. It's half.
I mean Diva.
Diva,
Go for Brigitta.
So here you shouldn't be the one pushing up and looking
Going for
for
break.
yeah.
Yeah.
Here, behind you. The stacker actually, she's not contesting point, okay.
They're gonna have Shatter soon.
You should you're the payload pusher. Because you can be effective from a longer sideline than anyone else on your team.
Yeah,
Mhm.
kill her, kill her. No,
You could be on the payload and still potentially shoot things that are like around here.
Okay.
But now who is pushing now? Is it
The
Brig?
diva.
The
The
diva?
diva. No, wait. It should be the brick. Yeah. It should be the brick.
Well, you have two people pushing. So you
Yeah,
guys
brick and diva.
Yeah, so you guys pushing here is just really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because two players are not there. So you have pretty much zero kill potential here. But if you're on payload and you have a diva and a brig, you rush them, she bashes, maybe you can catch something when you have the stagger. At least you're taking a 5v5 fight. But now, even though you guys got a late pick, a late stagger, you guys are taking, what is it, a 4v5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bubbling.
And you're putting yourself in a situation where, like, in this situation, they have diva bomb, and this is the area where she can get a ton of value out of her diva bomb.
Run discorded,
Mhm.
run discorded, run discorded.
I almost have grab.
I should come in.
And she does get the value.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just around here, just if your starting position isn't here but it's around here, then you could easily kite in here. Everyone could just hide, or you have the potential to push into them as well. But now because you guys are so spread, you know this kind of happens. But the biggest thing is like remember that you have to push so that the rest of your team can just pressure and then push forward or come back as needed.
They're on for this fight, but they don't have bomb.
They're chasing me, they're chasing me,
And that's another situation. Like in a situation where you're AFKing the payload, you can try to feed information whenever possible. If you feel like you have any information that would help the team.
Can rally,
Left side.
Run behind.
Shatter behind
Anna
us,
split, Anna split. Nice spin. Careful for Shatter.
I'm on point.
No,
Yeah,
you should
good.
you
I can bubble,
Even
bubble.
a booster, even a booster.
Keep pushing. Reinhardt, left side. Go for Rein, no
One
friendly.
stun.
Keep big for Rein.
Lucio, Ryan, Zaya left side,
Zaya
Zaya,
side.
we can kill her, push.
Diva right side.
is there?
Diva going top. Diva top right.
Okay, you guys clean this up. There's nothing
Mhm.
else here. Let's head into Lijiang and then we'll take a look at some examples from Twilight and Violet.
We have to practice dive and
I'm
go
in
to
it.
For this scrim,
I
we're
mean,
playing goats
we
dive.
play triple then, we play triple. We need mercy with that.
Some bro.
Okay.
So you guys play triple DPS on a Mercy here, right?
Mm-hmm. I positioned myself pretty badly at the beginning because I was kind of expecting us to swap because it's really hard to, as soon as the point unlocks and they run in with goats, it's really hard to retake it with triple DPS against goats.
Mm-hmm. And also,
So it's off angling to maybe get a nade.
so let's watch this example and then let's watch this fight
They're
and then
waiting for
we'll
point to
break it
done,
down.
right?
Zara
Mhm.
low.
They're half.
They're waiting for point to unlock.
Yeah, look for the boot.
I'm gonna slam them when they come in.
Yeah, try to boop them while they come in.
Huge pick.
Break down.
No spec.
I'm on point.
Lucio hack.
No pin on Rein.
All
I'm gonna
nated
slam
behind,
it.
all
Big
nated,
nade,
all
big
nated,
nade.
all nated, all nated, all nated.
Zen. Right side.
I'm protesting.
Zen is one, Zen one, Zen one.
Okay, so
Behind us.
first off, playing the
Zara
DPS
low.
comp,
Let them come in.
you know, the things we discussed on Hollywood sort of applies here too. You know, if you lose the first fight with the DPS comp, you're in trouble because if you go goats, then you're working uphill again. That's number one. Number two is so in this type of a composition against 3-3, what do you think your job is as an Ana?
To keep the team alive.
If you're like a little more specific.
I'll make sure I'm as far away from all danger as possible. And
That's
so
not
basic.
yeah, that's not too hard against goats who are pathing through there. Yeah. What else?
My positioning is very important. So that that I make sure that I can basically, and also has like the ability to deal damage, that I can do both deal damage and heal teammates. Like the dojo behind would have been probably better than being here.
Yeah, I think in general, any area that gives you a good angle is fine. Like further away from the fight, the biggest thing that you have to think about is you don't have to make plays. You have a Mercy who is going to pocket a Pharah. So essentially, your job is to make sure that your Mercy doesn't have to worry about anything else.
Okay.
If you accomplish that, it means your Pharah is going to be perma damage boosted. She's going to be able to take aggressive off angles, and she's potentially going to be able to get picks that are going to win you fights. So until then, your job is, yeah, you can sneak in a nade here or there, but you just need to make sure you keep your teammates alive, because they're going to wait till the point opens, then they're going to pressure the point, and they out-brawl you and they out-pressure you. So usually, you will, unless you get a lucky pick, because your Hammond can't hold off goats on his own. So he's going to fall back, get healed up, go back in, go out, and then you're essentially in the first fight playing for your EMP and Mirage. When you get those two ults, maybe they'll be up to like 20%. You'll execute and then combo, and then you'll go into the next fight. Like that's almost always how these two matchups play out. But until then, your job is just make sure we buy enough time for a Sombra to farm, for a Pharah to farm, and then you just keep all of them up so that Mercy doesn't have to worry about them.
All right.
But you don't have to. You don't have to win the first fight. You don't have to win the first cap. Like that's the most important thing. You have to win the first fight, but not the first cap. And also from this position, there's a lot of nice walls. You know, like regardless of where you position, there's a lot of nice walls to lob in nades. So you know, if they push in here, here's a good nade spot. There's a good nade spot. So you don't necessarily have to go for a long flank to get a big nade.
Okay.
They're waiting for point to
They have a
unlock.
Zen, right?
Zara low.
They're half, they're half.
They're waiting for point to unlock.
And also, unless needed, you don't really need to scope in, you know? So in a situation like this, like now it doesn't really matter because there's no pressure. The enemy, your opponents are just waiting. But in general, in a situation like this, you don't really have to zoom in to hit the Hammond. He's a big enough
They're
target.
waiting for point to unlock.
Because when you zoom in, immediately, like, your LOS is so tiny. So if this wasn't 3-3 or it was someone there, like, you could potentially get pushed. So in a situation like this, you absolutely don't need to... Because it's not a hard target to hit, right?
I'm gonna stop them when they come in.
Yeah, try to boop them while they come in.
Huge pick.
Breakdown.
Nice pick.
I'm on point.
Lucio hack.
And even now, even with the break pick, even if you guys are playing the right positions, almost certainly they get the first cap. But maybe they get it to like 15% and then you guys cap it back. And you see what I mean? Like if you were positioned there or there, you could potentially lob in a nade and hit these two guys, right? So you're playing safe, you're able to heal everyone, and you're able to stop their momentum with like by sniping nades from further back.
No peanut
Because
line.
now you get this, but now you're out of the fight. Now you're not healing him, you're not healing him. So they can't control any space. So even though you have this pick, they're out of the fight for too long. Now Hammond hasn't gotten any heals for the entirety of the fight. Unless Mercy's healing him, which I think she is. She's healing him, which means he's not farming as fast and he doesn't have as much kill potential. So it's just like allocation of resources and understanding your role.
Oh no.
But yeah, not like now your positioning is kind of iffy. because your job as a team is try and control that side of the map. But once you start doing this, and you guys lost control of that side of the map, then they can control everything, and they're a better brawl comp. So, because if all 6 of you are alive, if you think about it, if all 6 of you are alive and you're controlling this, they can't push into you here. Farah's gonna shoot, you know, like Sombra's gonna shoot them from there. Farah's gonna shoot them from above. You'll be able to kite back, and they will die while crossing to you. So, yeah. But now because you lost control of that side of the map, you guys are screwed.
Just go.
Good call.
Let's go good.
What?
Fast,
Zaya,
fast,
Zaya,
You
fast.
guys go goats.
Oh, sorry.
We go left side fast. Then just respawn. They might have
Here,
shatter.
there's nothing big, really.
Shatter, they're
There was
closest
one
to
thing I
will
wanted
be
to
Spartles.
discuss.
They're gonna have
See
B
if I can
and
find it.
maybe rally
Push
soon.
him, push him.
I'm pressuring Ryan.
This is very good. One right click, and then you're just unloading everything else on the Rhine.
They have
Very
no
good.
bash.
I can
Back
marble,
up,
I'm
back up,
marble.
back up. You don't have bubbles, back up, back up.
Go, go, come back, come back, come back. Run behind
My
us.
positioning was
Zaya, kill the Zaya.
Nice, clean. I
A
bubbles.
little iffy. It's difficult to hide there as well, because if you guys would want to push in, then obviously you don't want to get caught behind. You know, like you do want to stick to your Ryan's shield when you push in. So this is a bit of a tricky spot, because yeah, you have to dodge the shatter, but if your team pushes here and you're super far back and you can't discord anything, then like that won't really work either. So it's a tricky little hallway in that regard.
Off the map.
Break on me behind.
Rig.
Okay.
Break behind, boys. Break is ready. I'm still on break behind.
But yeah, you're right. You could hug the
Yeah,
corner
go.
a little more,
Rig is
like
on,
hug
rig
the
is
right
on.
corner a little more, because
Zaya.
judging for where the Reinhardt was.
They use grab,
Bubble.
bomb, beat,
I'm on the right
trans.
side.
Run behind, run behind,
Run
run,
back.
just got it,
There's Shatter, he's coming with Shatter.
He doesn't have
Go
a
on.
shatter.
You see this in front of you. What do you need to do
Yeah.
now?
Discord is Zarya.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you don't force out her bubble and push her away, you can't cross this.
Yeah, she's gotta kill me.
Yeah,
She's high charge
Yeah.
and she has no pressure.
yeah. But if you as soon as you because
There's
you
Shatter, he's coming with Shatter.
you try to catch up to that run, like it's a little unlucky that the charge doesn't get stuck there. But once he gets that far, as soon as you see her, volley into her, she bubbles, discord, and then you two can potentially push her away if she bubbles early enough. But now before she gets discorded, she takes your diva to half HP, and now she bubbles. Now she can 1v2 you guys easily.
Zaya
Yeah.
point, can we kill Zaya? Zaya point.
I'm bubbling you. Huh?
Focus.
She kills you, and she gets the
Go point.
Don't get
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
she gets
and
yeah.
almost kills the baby.
Reset.
Ah,
That's
she
the
got her,
baby,
she got her.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we need. Wait.
Lucio, you contest.
It's really hard to fight goats when they already built ults,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
we managed to still retake, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's usually like if you swap into goats, you're gonna have to take probably two dry fights, and then
No pin.
because they have so much room for error, right?
I shut up.
With their
I have grab.
ult economy. Even if you guys get an early pick, they can salvage a lot of fights with ults, and that's not a luxury that you guys have.
I have bubble.
No.
Grab bomb shatter for next fight.
Yeah, they're gonna have. I think they're gonna have rally. They're gonna have trance.
If they come right side, just
Zarya is low, Zarya low. Oh.
self.
Just rally engage here.
They're going right side.
Just rally engage here, and we can trance their grab.
Okay.
They don't have grab.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
oops.
shatter. Stay on point, stay on point.
Okay.
They don't.
So now you guys aren't playing a corner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you always want to, when you have the map control, you always want to abuse.
Don't have grab.
Corners, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your
Let's stay on
boots?
point,
So you guys take so much unnecessary damage here.
Stay on point.
Because of that,
Rally.
because of that, your Lucy's like, oh shit, I have to save my Brig, and she ults as well. So your ult order, there's no ult order. You guys are just panicking ults because you took too much damage. Whereas it should be Brig ult, then potential Lucy ult, then potentially your ult.
I'm shatter.
But now you end up in a situation where within like 3 seconds, you've used all 3 support ults and you overlapped with them. And that's because you guys position yourself very poorly. If you want to push there, you have to beat them to the corner. If not, you hold this. Or this.
Okay.
I can counter.
Break behind us, watch out!
Break behind, yeah. Break. Kill the break on point. Kill the break in the graph. I got the
Good. You follow up on the right.
Reverse split. Come back on point.
Diva,
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 stagger
Diva,
head.
Diva.
I guess
Combo.
bring this up.
They use
No, we
When
killed
they-
Ryan immediately.
Saves to use bubbles.
I'm
Okay,
going
we
left
go for a
side.
bomb shatter play. Don't forget.
Same thing here. You guys see them pathing there. If you want to hold in white room,
So go close.
Mhm.
if you go, he at this point you already need to be at that corner with everyone.
Go close.
I go close.
Boom, too late.
Okay.
Too late. They've crossed the corner. The advantage you have by potentially going there is if they push out as a team, you can swing on like 5 people. Now you don't have that option anymore. They've already crossed, and now they actually have a bit of an advantage in the sense that you guys are pretty split, and if something goes wrong with your Reinhardt, it's super far for him to fall back to the next corner. Whereas if something goes wrong for them, they can still like kite back. They can LOS you at least, right?
Yes.
So
Close.
And then we back off.
Bubble.
Back off.
again, you guys just take too much damage, and you're not using your
Battle ready.
corner
Wait.
advantage here.
Ryan. Zarya.
But you clutch it with your ult.
Yeah,
But that's 2 fights you guys realistically
Yeah.
should have
just go
lost
early
if you
grab.
didn't clutch it.
Okay, don't let them farm trans. Don't let them farm trans at all.
We behind
Okay,
the
we'll go
right
for
here.
moves. Go. Actually, we can grab them off the map.
Same thing here, like so now you guys actually beat them to the corner, which is good, which means they can't take this path. In general, if this wasn't a like now it's fine for you guys to stay here because the only way they touch the point is to fly in through this or through the window.
Mhm.
But if this wasn't a last fight scenario, then it's important that you guys are closer if you want to hold that corner, which I wouldn't do, and like almost no one does. But if you want to do that, you guys have to be closer too, because even if they like rush this corner, they're essentially 6 versus 2.
And
Your
we have to
Diva's-
follow up on a graph too.
Yeah,
Grab
you guys grab there.
here.
Yes, we graphed here. We tried to graph them off the point, but we left our 2 teammates here.
Yeah, exactly. And because you guys are so split, if she touches, you can potentially lose this fight because your Reinhardt is dropping because none of you are helping him.
Yeah, and it would have gotten them the point too because they're like 99.
Yeah, and you lose that round. So if you look at my stream, I'll show you a quick picture.
Sure.
Let's see. Where's Epic Pen?
I'm in it.
Can you see the picture of this map
Mhm.
overhead? Okay.
Yes.
Let me see. Let me grab a brush. Whoops. Brush isn't working for some reason. Whatever. But yeah, like the reason most teams choose to hold this corner is because one, you have a good secondary corner to fall behind. So if the enemies use a rally to take a corner, for instance, then you still have space to fall back. Where now you're controlling another corner, right?
Yeah.
And you're still on the point, like you're still contesting the point. Plus, if they don't use an ultimate and you want to push into them a little bit or go for a bubble trade, there's boop potential. Like your Brig can boop them down, your Lucy can boop them down, your Diva can boop them down without like too big of a risk, which is why most teams hold this. Another reason is, say your Reinhardt is playing this position and they pressure him and he kites back a little bit like this, your Zarya can take the off angle here. So while they're angling the shield towards your Reinhardt, she can be doing damage to the backline, which is why this choke point is so hard to break because of the boops, the secondary corner, and the potential for you guys to take off angles. And it's really a safe off angle because even if your Zarya gets discorded and pressured, the next corner is super close, right? So that's why they usually hold it, and no one really rushes to this corner because the advantages are just much greater here. Plus, another upside is as they're walking up with the shield, you get a longer time to pressure their shield. Like you guys saw, you guys were retaking it, you got to here, and your shield is almost broken, and your Reinhardt has to step here to recharge, which is super risky. And when you guys push here, you don't get to pressure their shield as much. So, and which is something, again, like an advantage you want to abuse when you in control have energy advantage.
Okay.
Okay, we can return to the VOD now.
we should have pushed up to the ground. Just we're gonna
Okay.
They have a...
push.
Right,
Yeah.
that's okay.
I'm close.
Yeah, I'm bubbling now.
Diva discarded.
Push. Push.
Quick, discarded.
There is no
Discarded.
difference.
Stand low.
I'm bubbling one.
Run.
I'm on right. I'm HP.
I'm bubbling.
I swing
Ryan
Ryan.
discarded.
Keep swinging on the Ryan, please. Keep swinging on the Ryan.
Break one.
I'm pushing Ryan.
Ryan shield down.
Stay low.
Shield.
Ryan, no shield.
Their shield
Diva,
breaks
Diva,
first.
Shield up.
I have
Not
bubbling, I
right
have
click.
bubbling, I have
Diva,
bubbling.
Diva, Diva.
Right side.
True.
Zen behind.
Bubbling.
Point.
Then he's dead.
If we have a
Bring
rally
that
there,
first.
Okay, listen. They're going high. Listen. They're going high ground. As soon we're gonna rally as soon as one drops, and we're gonna fuck the person who drops first. It's probably gonna be the Ryan.
Can you be
No,
offering the left side buds? Can you offering the left side buds?
Fight is starting. You're gonna.
Mhm, I
You're
should
about to
reload.
reload. Yeah.
Pushing a bad.
Same thing.
Right there.
You realistically,
Who drops first? It's probably gonna be the Ryan.
Can you be offering
Now you reload.
Okay.
offering the left side buds?
now you already can shoot the shield.
Mhm.
Pushing a bad.
Yes.
Right there, yeah.
They have no ally. Push.
No. Ryan, Ryan.
I'm bubbling.
Snow.
Break low.
Zaya, Zaya.
no Lucio.
Stagger. Oh, low.
Okay. Roll them
Bud,
with the
you see
rally.
left side, like right here.
Oh, did they rally?
Did they rally?
No.
Oh, they have.
Okay.
Six.
So they don't have six. They're gonna have rally and shatter and trance. Maybe grav.
Bob.
They definitely
Left
don't have
side.
Okay, go back point.
It's a bait. Just play around our cover. Go point.
Skytis.
Go backwards. Point, go back
It's a
point.
bait. Just maybe grav.
Bob.
They definitely don't have six. They're gonna have rally and shatter and trance. Maybe grav.
As soon as you see the Ryan,
Mhm.
tight.
Okay.
Remember, you don't want to get caught in a position like you did in Hollywood.
Bob.
Yeah.
You see the Ryan, you know everyone's coming there. There's absolutely no reason to go for a right click there,
Left side.
which is what you do.
Okay.
You know, like you're in this situation, you're just tunnel visioned on getting a right click, and this is a common right click angle. So, like this should immediately set your alarms off. You cancel your right click, or you shoot the right click into him, and you immediately reposition.
Okay.
Let's see what this happens. Now you have to look away from the fight. Now you're in a bit of danger because you're split from your Reinhardt, whereas you should already be here.
Mhm.
And you could be shooting his shield the whole way through. You don't have ammo really to shoot his shield, but also you're a bit out of position and split from your Reinhardt, so you have to turn around as you're kiting.
Just play around our cover. Go point.
So that's so much pressure that you give up.
Skytis.
Go backwards. I have shatter. Get ready for the
Hold
boots.
hold here.
For the
Break
shield.
left side. Looking to
Run back in.
help out.
Zaya.
This is
No Zaya.
a rough one. Like your brig gets shattered.
Witness?
You kind of have to trance to save her, but if you trance, then you just lose to the grab. So
I got the Zen.
let's blame the brig for getting shattered. It's
They have grab on for the
for blaming you for getting shattered. Let's
No, they use trance.
blame the brig as well.
Yeah, you
Use
sit.
France.
Okay.
They use trance and shatter.
But now you have a decent chance to win the fight. You have the tools to deal with their grab and
Go high ground. Just wait for me.
They don't have trance. We need to pressure Diva, wait for the matrix, then we can go with the grab.
Yeah.
They're banner now.
again, no need to be looking for
Brings
right
them,
Right
clicks here.
clicks, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can go with the grab.
Yeah.
you know, like you have all the possibilities. Now this is the same as the Hollywood situation. You have a great overview of the fight.
Banner now.
Mhm.
You could potentially discord the brig, then she can't really push forward, right? Or like you guys
Yes.
you can pressure her. Potentially, if the Zen doesn't reposition, you can discord him and maybe catch him. You have all the choices in the world. In worst case scenario, you just shoot into the shield.
Okay.
But like because he's so exposed, you can discord. Maybe you hit a shot. He has to hide, and then
Yeah.
if they push into you, well, their Zen can't peek because he's recharging
Oh,
HP.
they swapped the Zen for Anna. They
Oh, is that
used
not a
trance-
Zen?
That's a diva.
Is that a baby
think-
diva?
No, it's a main diva.
What
mech,
is that?
Like the mech. It's the actual diva mech. Like the complete diva.
Yeah.
What is this bitrate? Are you sure? There's no way
Yes,
that's a
yes.
diva.
That's a diva.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. Now I see. Holy crap. Yeah. Okay.
Banner now, they're
Yeah. So then like now she's super out of position.
Yeah.
The brig should be discorded here.
banner
And then
now.
and this is what's gonna happen. If you discord her when she's here and you guys
Mhm.
pressure her a bit, she's either A gonna die or she's gonna have to run. He's gonna have to step to shield them a little bit, and she's gonna have to use bash defensively to survive, right?
Yeah.
If she uses bash defensively, that's a gigantic advantage for you guys.
Okay.
Brig is left side alone.
But
Yeah,
now
sure.
now she gets to keep that space for a long time. Now you guys push her, and she does use it defensively. But she was discorded. You guys could have potentially caught her.
Hitting on break.
Or
Yeah.
pushed her away
Push,
even
push,
faster.
push. Ryan. No, it's Ryan.
Good call by one of your players. No ults. You guys did catch the Lucio.
Like we force bubbles, and then.
Yeah, he's basically forced to taxi the Ana around, and he was out of position because of that.
Yeah, but it's also the same way. He got caught out of position. You sort of got caught out of position as well on the previous retake. Like I said, when you overstepped for this and fell back that way, it's just that you didn't. You were out of position, but you weren't out of position bad enough for that to be a fight losing mistake, right? Whereas his positioning was just terrible. Like if he was here, then he can easily fall back.
Okay.
Go point.
I have no
Watch
rush.
out, I can't eat graph.
Again,
Go point.
I have no rush.
They're faking. Go point.
they rallied, right? So as
Mhm.
soon as they rallied, you're kiting.
Mhm.
Go point.
But now you're overstaying for a right click again,
Oh yeah.
Go point.
right?
Yeah.
Because you overstay for the right click, and they're gonna push. You're like, oh shit, now I'm in trouble. Now I have to rush and somehow get behind that wall.
I have no rush.
Just for that, you look away like you did last time.
Yeah.
I can't eat graph.
Did he shatter or did you guys shatter?
No, they shattered and they grabbed. But they missed because I think this thing blocked it for me.
Yeah. So very lucky. And
Yeah.
the only reason you put yourself in this situation is because rather than thinking rally came out, tempo shift back. No matter what,
Yeah.
tempo shift back. Priority number one. Previous priority number one. Let me just get this right click off, and then we're gonna go to priority 2, which is my positioning. Right?
Yeah.
Go point. They whiffed all of their ults.
I don't have bubbles.
I tried to ult for the brig. but
They whiffed all of their ults.
It's
He got shattered actually.
yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's
I
awkward.
thought that. Yeah, I thought I could use trance because they use grab and diva bump and shatter.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not really your
Oh no.
Go point.
fault.
They whiffed all of their ults.
It's like I don't know what your diva is doing walking into them.
Mhm.
Obviously, she got shattered, so you lose 2.
I don't have bubbles. I don't have bubbles.
If you save the
Oh,
brig,
no.
then
Into.
it's
Yeah,
a,
we would have
Focus
saved
the
him.
brig.
I'm bubbling.
it's a tricky spot for you.
Mhm.
Okay,
Ideally,
they
everyone
use-
kites back
they use
further,
shatter,
and
they use nano, they use rally, they use-
yeah, or you guys tempo shift forward, so everyone pushes
gonna
forward
have
with the
a-
brig, and then you
Yeah,
use
they're
the
gonna have another
proactively since they've
shatter.
already used the
Yeah,
grab
they're
and the
gonna-
shatter, so you
that's
have nothing
early.
to worry
Go
about or
high
nothing
ground,
to
just-
save your
We
transport.
can go with rally.
So instead of like using it reactively, you could potentially use it
Wait for
proactively.
everyone.
Sort of like you did in that Hollywood, like you could call it out. I have trance, as soon as the
Yeah.
grab comes out, we can push with trance. Stay here, hold our ground,
Zarya is offline.
and then
Okay.
everyone lives.
Lucio is going for
Lucio behind.
Bubbling.
friendly.
Rhino shadow, Rhino shadow,
Yeah,
Rhino
that was.
shadow, Rhino
I
shadow.
thought about that when I dropped, and I was like, I should have gotten punished here.
But there's not much else you can do because you kind of have to drop as a team. Like the only other thing you can do, like if so, let's see their positioning.
Lucio is
Like if you see Reinhardt this far up,
Mhm.
you could potentially go up there, and then maybe he goes a little further, and then you have room to drop and go inside the room, right?
Oh, okay.
Because now
yeah.
if you drop, your back is against a wall.
Okay.
So it's something you guys can again read into the Reinhardt's movement. Like last time around, he was positioned around here, Brig was here, so they don't. Even if you like when on your last retake when you guys dropped, they can't really punish you fast enough.
Yeah, that's true.
But now, Brig is everyone's closer and they're ready to just go on you.
Lucia behind, Lucia
Upper right,
behind.
upper right, upper right, upper right.
Yeah, like they're right in your
Rhino
face.
shadow, Rhino.
Alright, I'm chill, chill.
I am bubble.
Push mine.
Oh, check,
I
check,
almost
check.
have Jack and bubble, you play.
Big beef, nice.
Here it feels like because you were calling that they have shadow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here you're actually positioning well is just a little unfortunate. Like if you step forward a little bit to this side, because here I can see that you're thinking about the shadow. You know, like you're positioning in a way where you're trying to dodge the angle, but yeah, you're a little bit too aggressive. Like this
I am bubble.
is where you mess up.
Oh, check,
I
check,
almost
check.
have Jack.
Yeah, here with
Yeah.
the I wanted to hit as many shots as
Yeah,
possible.
exactly. It's same. We're coming back to the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, and if you're prioritizing well my life, the only way they win this fight is if I get shattered and they get a counter pick because, you know, like considering our positioning, that's how the situation looks. You don't go for that extra hit, you dodge this.
Mm-hmm.
Big beef, nice.
If your Lucio fucked up and didn't beat, you guys lose this fight.
Rhino scored,
Or if you don't have the beat, you lose the fight.
Right behind us, watch out.
Potential.
He's still not dead.
Nice.
You sure
Okay.
though?
Next
So you just
target,
want to
guys.
control whatever you can control so that
Diva, low range,
Go for it, go for it.
Kill the break, kill the break, kill the break, kill
this is one of those situations. If I'm you right now,
Group main.
Diva, low range,
Go for it, go for it.
switch brick close, switch brick close. I'm discorded, you know? Because
Okay.
you can't really do anything. You can't ignore her.
Yeah. I
you-
saw her immediately because she was like, yeah.
Mhm.
I should have called it though.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, because if you listen,
the break, kill the break, kill the
someone else does it, and they
Mhm.
do it late. So this guy is these guys are looking forward. But if this call is made 1 second earlier, she blows up 10 times faster.
Okay.
break, kill the break, kill the break, kill the break, behind.
Brick one, brick one.
And she was like, she popped rally at that moment. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Still Zoya.
Saya. Go for Zenyatta. On point.
Diva.
So yeah, it's just one of those examples where like even though you seem to have teammates who like to micromanage a lot and they kind of call plans,
Okay.
where you can really contribute is with these mid-fight calls where you see something and you just give an order, just like your teammate did, but like you making that call.
Body then die.
So that's where you can take a little more responsibility in the comms department.
Look main.
And it's not like not that hard of a
Saya.
an adjustment.
Diva.
Same thing as the Hollywood example, like we said, you know, Diva Discord, push the Diva. You remember that second point where I said like you could shift the Discord to the Diva?
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. Like no one's gonna pay attention to. Everyone's going, we need to pressure shield to win this fight. But you're like, guys, this is something we can punish. Diva Discord, shoot her. Okay, she's out. Boom. Like you know, that's how you can create potentially in that situation you didn't notice her and didn't discord her at all. But yeah, again, like that's an opening where you can take charge in the comms and potentially make a play.
Still Zoya, Zoya low. Zoya, right now.
I'm on red behind.
Mini, go mini.
And you guys win.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
This is the map we
try
actually
to,
lose.
Take the front line together.
Let's see, what did I put in
Point.
the notes?
And
Okay.
so, what do you
Like-
mean? Like you have bubbles when they're right there, right? Like with the bomb. Just say that you're taking the front line, so we don't have to worry about them pushing in.
Honestly, I think on at this stage
Anyway,
there wasn't really
Yeah, okay.
that
So
much.
listen, they played,
It was just your
Yes,
corner play
aggressive.
as a
I'll say
team. I
that
think
when they
that
have
was a
no
little
cookies still.
iffy. Sort of the same
Okay.
issue you guys had in the previous round.
Yeah, okay, they have just goats.
Just play
Rhino
this
scored,
corner.
Rhino scored,
I'm
Rhino
bubbling
scored.
now.
Looping running,
No bubbles.
looping
We have
running.
no bubbles.
No bubble.
Yeah, like this, you were doing really well until this point,
Rhino scored,
I'm
Rhino
bubbling now.
Looping
but
running.
now you start charging a right click,
No bubbles.
Yeah.
and you guys don't have a Discord. If you were still shooting, Discord goes on him. Free kill,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If
So
you just keep shooting.
to get it right, so you recommend one volley before the fight starts, basically.
I think
So
that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
So here, now you just keep shooting.
Just play this
Rhino
corner.
scored, Rhino scored,
I'm
Rhino scored.
bubbling now.
Looping running.
And here I charge
Oh.
up again. I should be charged. Okay.
Yeah, because now you charge it up, and you guys are winning the trade. You're gonna start pushing up, and then you're gonna have to reload when you guys push in,
Yeah.
and you won't be able to Discord him potentially.
Yeah.
Because
It's a waste of damage potential, right?
yeah, damage potential and the fact that you don't have a Discord.
No bubbles.
Okay.
No bubble.
Ah, okay.
That was an opening for you to get a Discord in the fight.
Mhm.
and potentially even a kill. If not a kill, then she has to split and run.
Okay.
Hey, first time, go, free shatter.
I'm
Like,
pushing.
push
Now you got a Discord, and now you're reloading when you could be doing potentially that. I mean, you would still have to reload because you were low on ammo even without the right click, but you would potentially reload a little faster, and then there's still on average more DPS that you could churn out.
Bubble in 2.
Okay.
They're 60 shatter.
And again, like switch
I'm
Like,
pushing.
switch the Discord. You remember again that's the same situation because that's a good example with the Diva where I said on the Hollywood, you Discord her, you call for the push, and then if she drops, you immediately look to switch the Discord, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Because you've already pushed her out of position. So with this Discord,
Bubble in 2.
We could have caught her off guard. Oh, with the
No.
brick. Yeah.
yeah, this is the same situation but with a Brig now instead of a Diva. This Discord has forced her to take more damage and give up space. So now she's no longer a threat. You can't punish her, you can't catch her. But these guys are much better targets now. So exactly the same thing. You've already gotten value out of this Discord. Now you can move it because you can't convert the skill.
Okay.
You know, like she's fine. But there's so many targets you could potentially Discord here. A little early.
They're 60 shatter. They're 60
Bubble.
shatter.
Go back to point. Go back to point. Go back to point.
Watch out, lose your boobs.
Play this
They
corner.
are close.
Again, you're charging a right click, so you don't have a Discord.
They're so close.
He used a bubble.
Go back to point. Go back to point.
So now you're going back to point. So you guys are gonna kite like this. So you know that you will need a lot more ammo. You don't really see anyone out there. You could potentially just release your right click, reload, and then reload a little early. Just release the right click now because it's fine the way you do it in terms of charging your right click after the Lucia because you don't know what's going on behind you. Maybe they're pushing into you and you can do something.
Boobs.
But yeah, or don't reload. Like keep the 11 ammo, Discord one of these guys, and put out a little more damage. Get maybe 15 more ult charge.
They are close to shatter.
Instead, you hit like one orb, and you don't get a Discord.
Yeah. And I charge another right click.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now I don't have enough ammo for the brick.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Because she probably dies, and then you're reloading while the fight's going on. You know, like the reloading isn't really efficient.
No more. I'm shooting 10, 1.
But most of it is just like if we could calculate the maximum DPS you could put out with how much you put out in like a fight like this, I think the stats would be
I'll get booked.
pretty insane.
They have 42 another shatter.
Seconds on armor pack. Yeah. What are they gonna?
Again, now you have your trance. You have very little pick potential. You don't want to feed the Zarya energy, Be careful.
Gonna have rally, I think.
and it's much easier to not feed her energy when you're not right clicking.
Or did he use
Okay.
it? No, they have
Rally?
Again, now they're close to the choke, so the fight could potentially start any moment. You already have your chance. You're reloading a right click, so if they push in now and you release it, again, you're reloading 1 second into the fight.
Hey, Grav. I think they're really.
And you're
close to
charging
that.
even a new one. You know, like if you release that one, at least you have to reload now.
It's discorded right now. Zyno press now.
Sorry, looking for Grove.
But now you're reloading.
Zyno problem, no problem, no problem. Zyno
I can
discorded.
bubble.
You see him right behind us? You see him?
Kill the
You could have potentially caught the Lucio there a little earlier.
Can
maybe.
bubble whenever.
Okay, push him.
Bubbling?
Just speed demon then.
I'm HP. I go back last.
Bubble 4. I have grab.
We don't
That's
have shit
true.
right now.
We
Listen,
Grav on next fight.
Listen, no, listen. We don't need to use ults if they're not using ults. We have the map advantage, we don't need to waste ults for no reason. Just play
So
slow.
again,
If they
this
start
map is a
using
little
ults, we'll use
similar
ults.
to
If I still
Garden
grab,
in the sense that
Kite
if
it,
something
I'm
goes wrong or you guys want a kite, it's
Yeah.
pretty far to the next corner, to the point corner, right?
Yeah.
no counter grab.
Yeah, sure.
So now it's super hard for your Reinhardt to fall back if he plays that
Yes.
corner. So if you anticipate them to push in with an ultimate, say, well, they might have rally, and we want to kite it, we don't want to use our own rally to fight for the space, because that's what you could do as well. Like if you have rally, they have rally. Let's just use rally and fight for this. Because
Okay.
we have the corner advantage and Orion can swing into 5 of them. But if you want to kite, say that's not the scenario and you want to kite, then you can hold this corner potentially and then kite.
Okay.
Push your line.
Ryan
Alright,
discorded.
kite this.
Yeah, because now like
Kite this.
You guys
being
just
missed.
get too far.
I push
Okay,
Ryan.
keep kiting, keep kiting.
Especially your brig. Like your Ryan would still be fine. Like your Ryan could potentially hold that forward corner and get supported and escorted back out, but your brig was way overextended.
Push
Okay,
Ryan.
keep kiting, keep kiting. Phoenix, fall back, fall back, fall
We can
back.
grab,
And
we
yeah,
can
like
grab
your
whatever,
Reinhardt
we
should
can
have
grab
kept
whatever.
falling back. Like he could have gotten out easily
1.
without his shield breaking.
Big.
Huge. Happy Ryan. Par le HP, à Cachattermats.
I don't have bubbles.
I don't think
Only trans because we said we would use ults like Shatter,
Don't,
and
okay.
but we ended up
Grab,
dying.
Bomb,
Yeah.
rally.
And they grabbed, so like that's where you
they
should trans
transfer
anyways.
grabs, They shattered,
that
but
big
you
of a
can have
deal.
another one.
They
Shatter.
didn't use speed.
Okay, so beat Shatter.
we push with Rally. Shatter next fight. Like Zara has no stealth.
They're holding
We
right
need to push
side.
in 3, 2, 1. We push in. Go on right. Go on right side. Push
Ryan
with
discarded,
Rally.
Ryan discarded.
They're holding
We
right
need to
side.
push in 3, 2, 1. We push in. Go on right side. Push
Ryan
with
discarded,
Rally.
Ryan
Go on to
discarded.
Ryan.
Run stuns, run low.
Ryan.
I'm speeding you, we can bash Ryan. I booped him, push, we can go Shatter main.
Cachattermats.
Base.
Quick, nice. Run behind us, run behind us.
Just too many right clicks.
Yeah,
He's going.
feels bad.
It's okay. It's very easy to fix.
I have their beat still.
Focus right here. Back.
Bubble.
Kite.
Speeding back, speeding back,
Bubbling.
speeding back.
Go back.
Yeah. Now you guys get out because your brig doesn't get caught. Even though you guys held the forward corner, so actually the forward corner is fine because if you don't hold that forward corner, then they don't have to rally to go through it. So I want to change what I said. Yeah, like it's fine. Just be ready to kite and make sure it's clear before the fight because they have to rally to get through this, or your Reinhardt will just wreck them.
Yeah.
Speeding back.
And then you can potentially get a rally advantage.
Big discarded. Big discarded.
Pressure Ryan.
Bubble in 4.
Friend of friendly. We can pressure Ryan.
Bubble in 2.
Oh.
Pressure Ryan.
Bubble in 4.
Friend of friendly. We can pressure Ryan.
I think if we
Bubble
kept
into-
guiding, we could have actually came back and retook like
Yeah, because so
the next side.
that was the first corner. This is the second corner, right?
Mhm.
Big discarded. Big discarded.
Where's the third corner? If you guys can't keep this corner, where do you go?
I would say up here.
Where?
Up here.
And then they take the point and capture it, right?
Yeah.
So if we think about what we talked about on gardens, where would be the optimal position?
Oh, the optimal position
okay.
behind this.
Yeah,
Behind this.
exactly. Yeah. If you guys can't use an ultimate to keep this, or you're losing HP, Reinhardt can go here. Your Zarya can potentially go here, right? So and your Diva could potentially play an off angle on that side.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Yeah.
So then you're playing it behind the Rhine shield. If they want to pressure your Reinhardt, they're dealing with a Zarya, they're dealing with a Diva, right?
Mhm.
They want to push your Zarya, you're going to discord someone in the backline, and your Reinhardt is going to kill the backline. And your Diva is going to fly into the backline. They want to pressure the Diva and push more towards this side and give up main and try and go here. Well, then your Zarya can get a little more frisky with her angle and push even further in the back. While your Diva kites, and then you guys rotate it this way potentially. So that's how you guys can potentially set up when you're in control. That's pretty much how Vancouver plays,
Bubble in 4.
and most teams that are good with taking off angles. But now you don't fall back to the next corner. You just stay out in the open. You don't spread out. And
Push on.
yeah.
Can
Oh, damn.
with those off angles, you could have easily won that fight.
They have grab.
Push, we go with grab bomb.
Zarya is left side. Cheers, grab, right?
A bit of a risk peek here in front of shield.
Okay, push in.
Go Zaya, go Zaya, go Zaya.
bubble.
Go Zaya, left side.
Here also, because you're charging a right click,
Okay, push in.
Yeah. And I'm standing still basically for like a split second.
you're standing still, but also you're so focused on the right click and you just put it in the shield. The rest of your team 1 second early is like, focus there, so focus this area. If you're not thinking about your right click and you're just shooting, you would react to that Zarya call immediately. You would look to the left, you would discord her, maybe you guys can catch her.
Go Zaya,
Yeah.
left side.
Right? Free kill. You would potentially go like this, or you would be here and you would react on that.
Okay.
And then if they push, maybe your Zarya is still here. Maybe you have to kite back a little, but you guys can shoot her in the back and you can punish her. There's a lot of scenarios where you can win this, but yeah, you're just
Sorry,
putting
son.
it to the shield and You don't really get that Discord out
I'm
there,
shatter.
and then
They use beat also.
the shatter comes out.
I'm in the ground.
Bubble
have
me,
shield
Pats,
for
bubble me, bubble me.
I don't have it.
I'm gonna go
He's
back.
long.
Outside. Go for Zarya outside.
They
I
built
don't-
another
Wait,
shredder
another?
from that.
I don't
Yeah.
have it.
Jesus.
Outside. Go for Zarya outside.
I
Run,
have
son, run the Discord.
The fight was
Fast,
pretty
fast.
messy.
We lose,
Yeah.
we lose.
I'm
Back off, back off, back off. Keep our energy.
Okay, I bomb behind them next side.
Are we
Okay,
need
let's
to
push
push
in,
in
let's
as
push in.
Yeah,
Two,
push him.
Zarya is left side again. I push Rain right side.
bumbling.
Yeah, you see how they're destroying you? Like Zarya is playing an off angle,
angle.
you know? And this is the same thing that we touched on when you guys were on the point. Like if you guys are doing this, it's so hard to break. Like look at the damage you guys are taking.
Bumbling.
Rain no friendly.
Like you can't go like this because she's here. And then your Reinhardt has to like angle his shield towards him as well, and it's just so much pressure.
Rain,
Fuck the Rhine, fuck the Rhine up, fuck the Rhine up, fuck the Rhine up, fuck the Rhine up, fuck the Rhine up.
Run this
I'm
bird.
on the
Don't-
Fuck the Rhine, fuck the Rhine up, fuck the Rhine up.
Again, like
I push Rain right side.
you're so
Bumbling,
focused
bumbling.
on getting this right click through that you're not thinking about your positioning, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You already
Yeah.
got a kill. Stay back and left click into his shield. It's almost broken. He has no corner to fall behind. His next corner is like way over here,
Yeah.
right? But you're so focused on getting the let me just sneak in this angle on the Rhine, and they just trans anyway. So now you're completely out of position
Yeah.
because you could easily be here and kite in there or kite in there depending on where your Rhine kites.
Yeah.
Run this bird. Don't forget point. Point. Don't forget point.
I'm bumbling. I'm bumbling.
Enter shatter. I'm on Rain. Still on Rain. Rain is low.
Leave it alone, leave it alone, leave it alone.
Zarya no self on point.
Zen is down.
Zarya point, right side.
I'm bumbling you bring. Oh no, Diva behind.
Yeah, he has got a bit
Nice
split after that
Minus
bomb.
1 HP.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you can look at the stream again, and I'll just show you two quick examples.
Okay. I'm leaving the q.gg.
Oh, you don't
Or-
have to.
or-
You don't have to.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you can leave the q.gg. Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Alright.
Give me 1 second. Where do I have this?
Sorry, I'm definitely not struggling on the Zarya.
Serious.
Okay, can
Yeah,
you see?
top tier Zarya,
Oh.
pretty much at the.
Can you see the screen?
Yes. The
Okay.
YouTube video?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Wait. Wait, now I can't use my mouse. What is this? No. I can't use my mouse. Okay. Trash. Okay, so let's well, this is Rappel, this is in Twilight, but if you just look at how he and this isn't the best example, we'll look at a better one afterwards, but yeah.
Mhm.
And he even like this is something as well, like you never cancel a right click, which a lot of pros often do. They don't see something they don't like they don't see anything they like, they see that there's no kill potential here, just cancel it and immediately start shooting here and
Okay.
change your orbs, right?
Does he reload after that? He has 15 ammo, 15 bullets in his mag. Okay, he doesn't.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. He goes for one, doesn't go for another one. Just pressure, because that's when, and he forces out a bubble by just pressuring and shooting. Now they're gonna take space together, so he has time to reload.
Okay.
Goes for another one. Now he hides because he's clearing the corner and he has nothing to shoot. He can load another one, and then immediately, like, he never really right clicks again. Let's move into this fight. Immediately reloads, right? Goes for a right click. He knows the fight is starting soon. They haven't come out and he wants to maximize the amount of damage he can do. Loads another right click as he sees them top. Puts it up there. Now he's just shooting. Again, they haven't come out yet. He wastes a couple of shots. He says they haven't come out yet. Perfect timing for him to just sneak in a reload.
Okay. Yeah.
Now he's charging it because he has nothing better to do. He has to hide from the bomb. Shoots it. Discords. Never right clicks again. Switches. You see how he switches Discord mid fight as well, based on who they want to focus. Right. Let's take a look at this example, because this is the same map as well, so you can see how Violet plays it before a fight. Already has trance as well, so doesn't really need ult charge. Cancels it, you know? He already has trance. He doesn't want to feed the Zarya. He doesn't know what he's gonna hit. The amount of pick potential you have from this angle isn't worth it. It's not worth it for the amount of potential energy you might feed the Zarya. So he just canceled it.
Okay.
And immediately reloads as well. Goes for a right click. Again, he's what he sees is Zarya peeked out for energy, which means they're probably not gonna rush yet. So I have time to reload here because Zarya came out of her own just to try and catch up on energy. Perfect time for me to reload again. To maximize the damage. Boom. And you see, like, he doesn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
Reloads. Now they're coming out. Now he can discord and he can shoot. And he doesn't right click.
Okay.
Even as he's falling back, like, all of this pressure. Again, as they're falling back, finds a good time to reload. Switches his orb to Brig just in case she's getting pressured. Switches it because his Reinhardt isn't taking damage. But immediately now the Brig is safe. Back to Reinhardt again because he needs the resources. And he's not right clicking, he's just shooting.
Yeah.
And look at how much damage. Like, he's poking out the D.Va on his own. Calls the Zarya, pokes her out, forces the bubble. You know? So you can see the difference in tendencies and how focused he's. Like, he never has to look behind him or where he's going. He's always moving with his team, and he's just very focused on the fight. His discords are pretty much always on the right target. He's always, maximizing the pressure that he outputs simply because he's not right clicking as much. And I think if you solve that, then like your play is going to improve a lot, and you're going to be able to carry a lot of fights, and you guys will also see it in your team fights. You guys are going to be able to punish a lot more things, because really the way I see it, like, that's the thing that gets you into trouble. Like, we saw a lot of other stuff, positioning mistakes, this or that, but then we scrolled back a little bit, or like we winded back a little bit. How did this mistake happen? How did you get in the situation? You were greeted with a right click. Like, that's basically what it results in. So I would suggest you to just think about that a lot when you play ranked, when you go into scrims. Try to watch some POVs from these pros to just maximize your reload time, because you can see how efficient they are. Like, they're very good at maximizing damage. And yeah, I think you'll see a pretty good uptick in your performance. We obviously only saw Zen. We saw a little bit of Ana, but mostly with that is just like I don't think you really understood what your role was, or like what the win condition of your comp versus their comp was. So naturally you felt, I need to flank and make a play. But yeah, we didn't really see enough Ana to like draw any conclusions. The thing we can learn from that is basically just think about what your role is. What do you have to do for your team to reach its win condition? To get to that point, you first have to understand your win condition. So that's sort of how you have to think about it. Any other questions you have?
No, but I wanted to thank you, and I appreciate this coaching session a lot. And thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. I think it should help you, and let me know if you feel a difference when you go into scrims if you feel like you're being a little more effective and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right, everyone, hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to get smarter about the game together, make sure you join my Discord, which you can find in the description box down below. Beyond that, hit the like button, the subscribe button, all that good stuff, and make sure you don't miss my newest project, which I'm launching this Wednesday, which is the Tempo Shift podcast. We will be streaming it live on my Twitch channel, and it will also be up on this channel. We will have a very special guest in Harsha of the Vancouver Titans for the inaugural episode. So make sure you tune in for that and don't miss it. Thank you for watching.